Bologna sandwiches explain everything. Here we have the recipe for a bologna sandwich. 2 pieces of bread, a piece of bologna, and a cheese makes a bologna sandwich. Right, I could write this way, right? 2 breads plus a bologna plus a cheese equals a bologna sandwich. Right? So how many sandwiches would you make with 4 pieces of bread, 2 pieces of bologna, and 2 pieces of cheese? You would make 2, right? Because 4 pieces of bread, I can make 2 sandwiches. 2 slices of bologna, let's make 2 sandwiches, 2 pieces of cheese. Okay, 2 sandwiches, nice. How many bologna slices do you need to make 5 sandwiches? Well, 5, right? Because it's 1 to 1. Let's do this. Let's do it. So 5 sandwiches. I'm going to do it as a conversion. 5 sandwiches. I want sandwiches to disappear, and I want to get to bolognas. Bolognas. And what's the relationship between sandwiches and bolognas? For every 1 sandwich, I need 1 bologna. So 5 bolognas. Right? If I did this with bread, 5 sandwiches times 1 sandwich, divided by 1 sandwich is 2 breads, slices of bread, right? Equals 10 slices of bread. Right? But we just look at this and we understand this, right? We can always use our dimensional analysis, though. If we had 2 dozen slices of bread, a dozen slices of bologna, and a dozen slices of cheese, how many dozen sandwiches could we make? We could make 1 dozen, right? Okay, and you know where I'm going next, right? Because moles are just a big, big dozen. If you have 6.022 times 10 to the 23 of those things, you have a mole, which is just a huge, huge dozen. So if I had 2 moles of bread, 1 mole of bologna, 1 mole of cheese, how many sandwiches could we make? Just like we could make a dozen sandwiches, we can make 1 mole of sandwiches. Okay, if we have 2 dozen slices of did we just do this? What just happened here? Hold on, I got lost. A dozen slices of 1 mole. It's the same thing exactly, isn't it? Sorry. Let's see, okay. So we have 2 terms we have to talk about. This whole thing we're talking about is called stoichiometry, which is just relating the number of things in the recipe, in this case, to make the final product. The limiting ingredient, right, is the one that we're going to run out of first. And the theoretical yield, then, is the amount we can actually make based on the thing that we're going to run out first. So if we had excess bologna and cheese, okay, so I'm saying that I have all the bologna and cheese in the world, right? I only have 8 slices of bread. How many sandwiches can I make? I can make 4 sandwiches, right? This is the limiting. Bread is the limiting ingredient, limiting reactant, we're going to say. I didn't do my picture yet. So if I had excess bread, excess cheese, and 1 slice of bologna, I can only make 1 sandwich. Well, why couldn't I have so much bread, though? I got enough bread to make like 100 sandwiches. Why can't I make 100 sandwiches? Because I run out of bologna, right? Well, I got so much cheese, though. Gosh, I could make so many sandwiches with that amount of cheese. But still, 1 bologna equals 1 sandwich, right? This makes sense. What happened if we had excess bologna and cheese, but only 4 moles of bread? Remember, moles are like dozens. How many moles do I need per sandwich? For a mole of sandwiches, I need 2 moles of bread, so I could make 2 moles of sandwiches, right? What happens if I have 0.75 dozen slices of bread, 0.66 dozen slices of cheese, and 0.3 slices, bad work by me, dozen slices of bologna? Well, let's think about this. How many sandwiches can I make from this? I can make 0.75 divided by 2 dozen, right? I should get my calculator out. Was that 0.3537 something, 375 dozen? Okay, how many sandwiches? I'll make this sandwiches. How many sandwiches can I make from this many dozen slices of cheese? I can make 0.66 dozen sandwiches. And from this, I can make 0.30 dozen sandwiches, can't I? All right, so who am I going to run out of first? It's bologna, right? So bologna is my limiting ingredient, right? I'm going to run out of him first. So he decides, right? He's going to determine how many sandwiches I can make. So the total number of sandwiches I can make is 0.3 dozen sandwiches. So same thing with moles, right? If I have 0.75 moles of bread, 0.66 moles of cheese, 0.30 moles of bologna, we already determined that bologna is limiting, so now I can make 0.30 moles of bologna. That is a lot of sandwiches, isn't it? Probably feed the universe or something. All right. Percent yield is another thing we're going to think about. So the percent yield equals the actual yield, right? The amount you actually get versus how much you could have got if everything went perfectly, right? So we calculate it like that. All right, in this case, I have how many kernels of popcorn? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, I think. 11, and how many of them popped? Well, all but 3, so it should be 8 popped, 3 remain, right? If that's true, is that true? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yes, that is good looking popcorn. Let's see. So if I calculate this as a percent yield, the percent yield, right? Always write out your equation first, is actual over theoretical times 100. So the actual amount of popped corn I got was 8 popped corns divided by the potential was 11, right? If they all popped, I should have got 11 popcorns, right? Times 100, I should have picked a number that was doable. Turns out to be 72.7% yield. All right, so about 73% of my popcorn popped, right? If all of it popped, what would the percent yield be? 100%, right? Okay, so here we have a sloppy cook now. All right, still 2 breads, bologna and cheese makes a bologna sandwich. Okay, this sloppy cook though, he drops bologna, he cuts crooked slices of bread, he has to throw away, and he snacks on the cheese slices. Okay, so if he starts with a loaf of bread, 10 slices of bologna, 5 pieces of cheese, and makes 3.5 sandwiches, what is the percent yield of his kitchen? Right, so we know the actual yield is 3.5 sandwiches, isn't it? So the question is, given his ingredients, how many sandwiches should he have made? Well, he's got as much bread as he needs, right? This is excess bread, so we don't care about it. It's not going to limit us. 10 slices of bologna makes how many sandwiches? 10 sandwiches. 5 pieces of cheese makes 5 sandwiches, right? 1 to 1. So the theoretical yield, the most sandwiches he could have made with this number of ingredients was 5 sandwiches times 100. So we mashed that. It seems like that's a number I should do. Multiply by 20, 70. Divided by 5. Whoa. What? 30, 5. Oh, divided by. Yeah, 70%. 70% yield. All right. So probably not that good. I don't know what the margins are in the restaurant business, but I think this guy should be fired. All right. Okay. How many sandwiches can you make if you have 100 grams of bread? Let's see. If I start with 100 grams of this, how much sandwich can I make? So understand, right, we're just pretending we have as much bologna and cheese as we need, right? What do we need to know? We need to know how much a slice of bread weighs, doesn't it? If a slice of bread is 100 grams, then I only have 1 slice. I can't even make a sandwich. If the bread is 50 grams, then I have 2 pieces of bread, and I can make a sandwich. So we need to know how much bread weighs. All right. Fortunately, I have this handy table of how much breads and other foodstuffs weigh. And so it turns out that bread weighs 25 grams a slice. So how many sandwiches can I make now? I'm going to write this out. So I have 100 grams of bread, right? And you can see this, I think. But if 25 grams of bread equals a slice, right? A bread is what we've been saying, 1 slice. Then how many do I have? I have 4 slices, right? I could have kept going, though, with my dimensional analysis. So exciting. One more conversion, right? Because how many slices of bread gives me a sandwich? Well, 2 slices of bread gives me 1 sandwich. 2 slices of bread, 1 sandwich. And so let's check my dimensional analysis. Grams of bread cancels grams of bread. Slices of bread cancels slices of bread. And I'm left with sandwiches. And so I get, oh gosh, what is that? 2 sandwiches? Yeah, 4 divided. Yes, 2 sandwiches. Aha. Okay. What would happen if I had 100 grams of bread, calculate the corresponding amount of bologna, cheese, and the mass of a sandwich? Oh, my. All right, so if we had 100 grams of, let me just see, where's this going? Okay, so if we had 100 grams of bread, how many bolognas did that give me? It should be 2, but let's do the conversion here. So bread is 25 grams of bread per slice, right? And 2 slices of bread corresponds to 1 bologna. Oh, this is going to take forever. Come out of there. And then I guess we'll just do this one time. And then each bologna weighs 28.0 grams. So if I mash this in, I would say 100 divided by 25 divided by 2 that should be 2 sandwiches, so that should be 2 bolognas, right? And 2 bolognas weighs 56 grams. That would be 56 grams of bologna. I do the same thing with cheese and sandwiches. Am I going to do it? Yeah, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it for the sandwiches. So if I have 100 grams of bread, right, I know that 25 grams of bread equals 1 slice of bread. And I know I need 2 slices of bread to make 1 sandwich. And that 1 sandwich weighs 93.0 grams of sandwich. So 100 divided by that, divided by 2 times 93. I should get 186 grams of sandwich. Nice. How many sandwiches is that? 186 divided by 93. It's 2 sandwiches. 2 molds of sandwiches, 2 dozen sandwiches, whatever it is. Excellent. Let's just check my dimensional analysis. Hope this isn't getting too long. Grams of bread cancels grams of bread. Slices cancels slices. Bologna cancels bologna, and I'm left with grams of bologna. Nice. Breads cancel grams of bread. Slices cancel slices of bread. Sandwich cancels sandwiches, and I'm left with grams of sandwich. Nice. All right. So you can see where we're going here. So really quickly, let's fill this in. So the count in slices or things, 2 of these things plus 1 of these things plus 1 of these things gives me 1 of these things, right? The mass, what's the mass of 25 grams? It would be 50 grams, right, of bread. I don't know what I'm doing here. Not really sure what I'm doing, but it's okay. Let's just follow through. And bologna would be 28 grams. Cheese would be 15 grams, and a sandwich would be 93 grams. The point is these things are proportional to each other, right? 2 breads corresponds with 1 sandwich. 1 bologna corresponds with 1 sandwich. 50 grams of bread gives me 1 sandwich. Let me see what I did here. Yeah, bad work by me. Let's just say, what would happen if I had 100 grams of bread? What does that mean then? That means I've got twice as much. So this guy should be 56 grams. This should be 30 grams. And this will be 186 grams of sandwich. Right? Yeah, I hope that's true. All right. So let's just talk about sentences describing the molecular, right, or molar relationships and mass relationships between these things. So bread and sandwiches. For every sandwich equals 2 breads, 2 slices of bread, right? That means 93 grams of sandwich corresponds to how many slices? 50 grams of bread. Okay. What about bologna and cheese? Well, 1 cheese corresponds to 1 bologna in this sandwich, right? And 15 grams of cheese then equals 28 grams of bologna. So relationship between sandwiches and cheese. Well, for every 1 sandwich, right, that corresponds to 1 cheese. Or 93 grams of sandwich equals 15 grams of cheese. Right? This makes total sense, doesn't it? All right, this is what we just wrote. And what we're going to do now is turn it into chemistry, and all the wheels will fall off. All right, so now what we have is we've got this guy plus this guy gives me these guys, right? And it's the same thing, but instead of being cheeses and bolognas and sandwiches, we're ammonia molecules and oxygen molecules making nitric acids and water. So we have the same relationships, right? 1 of these and 2 of these gives me 1 of these and 1 of these. 1 to 2 to 1 to 1. Right, that's a molecular ratio. Molar ratio is the same, right? Just like a dozen. If I had a dozen molecules, then a dozen would correspond to 2 dozen. So 1 mole corresponds to 2 moles, to 1 mole, to 1 mole. I know the mass of a mole of ammonia from the periodic table, right? N plus 3 H's gives me 17.03 grams, corresponds with 64 grams of oxygen, which corresponds to 63 grams of nitric acid and 18 grams of water. These ratios now, we're going to practice using this with some dimensional analysis, and this is really all that is stoichiometry. Oh, there's more. I would like a hard-hitting end, and then, okay, anyway. So we have 1 molecule to 2 molecules to 1 molecule to 1 molecule. We already filled this out. So if 1 mole of ammonia reacted, how many moles of nitric acid do we get? 1 to 1, right? Molecules, moles. 1 mole HNO3. If 0.5 moles of ammonia reacted, how many moles of O2 are consumed? So 0.5 to 2 looks like it's 1. Let me just write that up, though. 0.5 moles of ammonia, right? What's the relationship between moles of ammonia? I want those units to cancel, and I'm going to get to moles of O2. For every mole of ammonia, I get 2 of those. Yeah, equals 1 mole of O2. If I want to make 3 moles of nitric acid, how many moles of NH3 do I need? It would be 3. How many moles of O2 do I need? I need 2 per nitric acid, so I must need 6. If I react 1 mole of ammonia and 1 mole of O2, which is the limiting, which one do I run out of first? It's O2, right? It costs me 2 moles of O2 to make a nitric acid, and I don't have 2, I only have 1. Now, hard-hitting finish. Okay, we'll do some calculations next time.